Good day to you one and all. It is I, Justin Hawkins, and this is Justin Hawkins Rides Again. I'm going to be reacting today to some news that's just arrived on my laptop. The Earth has just started spinning faster than ever before, and scientists don't know why. Experts fear that the consequences could be devastating. I mean, you've only got to see what happened when Superman flew around the Earth in the opposite direction to the way it was spinning, and then made time go backwards because he was going so fast in the opposite direction. But if it's going faster, that means time's going to go forward faster, according to the logic of Superman, Christopher Reeve era Superman movies. This isn't the story that I wanted to cover, though. Actually, is new music officially not as good as old music? New music is falling in popularity in the United States, according to a new report, while older music is experiencing a revival. You might be surprised to hear my thoughts on this. Then again, you might not. Justin Hawkins writes again. I think I'll more or less just read this out because it's quite interesting. Luminate, the company that monitors music consumption for the record industry, noted in its mid-year report that current music, identified by the industry as material being less than 18 months old, isn't just losing the market share, it's becoming statistically less popular among all demographic groups. Looking at the United States, the metric known as total album consumption of current music fell by 1.4% in the first half of 22 compared to a year ago. Meanwhile, catalogue music, material more than 18 months old, is up by 14%. The market share of catalogue music in America is 72% so far this year, with current music sitting at 27.6%. That's a market share decline of 3%. Now, sounds like a lot of maths, but the long and short of it is this. People have stopped listening to new music because it's fucking shit. I'm just kidding. No, that's the temptation, isn't it? By and large, though, there is a lot of dog shit amongst, in contemporary music. That's just the nature of it. And I think pop music's always been the same, but I suppose we've now had decades of recorded music, decades upon decades of recorded music that is of, the songwriting of which is of a standard that makes these songs timeless. Anyway, to put it another way, current music is becoming progressively less popular when measured by the number of streams and sales. Whatever is being released today just isn't resonating with the public the way it did in the past. People are showing a growing interest in listening to older music instead. And this is what Alan Cross from globalnews.ca reported. So, something to consider. Kate Bush's 1985 song Running Up That Hill hit number 1 on the UK singles charts and has reached the top 5 in other countries around the world. If only could, I'd make a deal with God, and I'd get him to swap our places. It's pretty good, isn't it? After, how long is that? 30-something years. Anyway, Metallica's 1986 track, Master of Puppets, has been given such a boost by its appearance in Stranger Things that it's currently in the US top 40. This 8-minute metal song is competing for attention with the latest from Lizzo, Beyonce, Justin Bieber, and Cardi B. Fleetwood Mac's 1977 album, Rumours, which I think is one of the best albums ever recorded, is one of the top-selling albums of the year so far. It's number 9 in the US. Rumours is also one of the top-selling vinyl albums of the year so far. That's because it's fucking awesome. What else are you going to buy? The Sex Pistols' God Save the Queen from 1977 is the top-selling vinyl single of 22. That's amazing. So I suppose that what we're seeing in these particular examples, like Fleetwood Mac, I don't know why Rumours is doing so well, but the Metallica one and the Kate Bush one, and in fact the Sex Pistols one, is probably because of TV what they call synchronizations, when they synchronize a picture to the sound, and they put Metallica song at the end of an episode of Stranger Things. Next thing you know, it's in the charts. That's more or less what's happening there. But the past week, Queen's Greatest Hits just became the biggest selling record of all time in the UK, with 7 million copies sold after more than 1,000 weeks on the British charts. Oh my God. Wow. So, why is this happening? Alan Cross suggests that record labels don't nurture and develop artists, resulting in ultra-short careers consisting of 1 or 2 songs. But okay, but I suppose, but the people that write those songs or co-write them, they have their finger on the pulse. They know what's, they know that everybody's listening to Imagine Dragons, so let's try and make a song that sounds like Imagine Dragons. There's people that can do that. I suppose, I don't know, if you're not, I suppose that is what people used to do. I think I remember there's a story about Kate Bush, to go back to her example. She had an album full of brilliant material. I think it was The Kick Inside, that they could have released when she was much younger. I think she was only about 18 when she wrote that stuff. So the rumour I've heard was that they held back The Kick Inside so as to make sure that she was developed and nurtured enough by the label and her infrastructure to be able to cope with the changes in her life after releasing this body of work that had the potential to be completely world-beating, and in fact was. So instead of putting it out when she was 17 or 18, they put it out when she was 19. They were braced for it, and I think that's the whole thing about music. Like, you need to protect yourself from failure, and you also need to protect yourself from success as well, and that's just something that's not happening. There's another thing that happens, like artists, they have a massive hit, but then they haven't had any sort of advice about what to do when you make money for the first time in your life, and then they just lose it all to the tax man and have to sell their Lamborghinis and stuff, which they shouldn't have bought in the first place. But they're not getting the kind of guidance you need to have a sort of sustained career. So I think people are less inclined to buy into the concept of a new artist completely fresh from school. Like, why would anyone believe in a person like that? Unless you've got an amazing song, there's not much point in. People just aren't inclined to sort of believe in a thing, I don't think. Anyway, a desire to be famous rather than pay their dues and learning their craft. And that comes from television again, doesn't it? I mean, I suppose television is alerting the populace to these brilliant old songs, but at the same time, it's making people just want to skip the queue and do a. I suppose we're at the back end now of casting shows and those sort of talent contests. That format has turned its back on people. So now you've got to do the work, otherwise you can't compete with the likes of Kate Bush. Too much perfection in the recording process, an obsession that strips all the humanity and soul out of a song. I also think it's like a lack of confidence on the part of people who aren't prepared to sort of release a record that has like a vocal that isn't perfectly tuned by a computer. It takes real courage, I think, to release a record that hasn't been tuned to within an inch of its life, because you're up against stuff that has been, and it just isn't going to sound as professional or glossy. I don't know. It's people need to have the courage of their convictions, and if you are a singer, let your voice be heard. Don't let the computer do it for you. Formulaic songwriting and algorithms which just push more of the same. I suppose the algorithms is a different argument, really. Formulaic songwriting has always been around. I think when you're creating a hit, it always goes verse, chorus, tag, verse, chorus, middle section, bridge, chorus ad nauseum, isn't it? Most songs are like that anyway. Pop songs always sound the same. So I don't think the formulaic songwriting is a new issue, really. I mean, some of the stuff that is superseding the contemporary music will be formulaic, and actually the formulas are based on those successful compositions, I think. That's a songwriter cynically looking at what's worked in the past and just doing it again. The algorithms is a different issue, because that's the way people, that's the way a computer services a consumer with the things that they know it wants in order to sort of keep the traffic going, really. So those are two separate arguments in that one point there. Many of today's artists are having hit songs without ever playing a single live gig. Is that because of TikTok or something? Why is that happening? What happens when they do? Do they just does the world swallow them up, or do they have some sort of funny turn, or do they sort of tremble at the side of a stage going, you can't make me go out there in front of all those people? But they don't, do they? They go out there and they look like pop stars. They're bolstered by a lot of pre-recorded stuff, and if they're not singing well, then the sound man just goes, whoop, put the other one in that you recorded without a live audience in front of him. or her, or them. Yeah, I don't know. There's no substitute for doing the work, I suppose, but not sure if that's going to affect the popularity of new music, unless you're talking about like how deeply invested in the concept of an artist your audience is, or the audience, or the general public is. This is happening because today's young people, and remember that youth is always the driver of what's happening in music, recognise bad music when they hear it. They are smarter than to fall for what passes as hit music today. That's a good argument, because at the end of the day, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And if the horse is sort of sipping away at a stagnant pond full of pop bullshit, and then they can see like this glimmering oasis in the distance of bands like Oasis and Radiohead or Elvis Presley or Kate Bush or Metallica, that's going to look a lot less appetizing, isn't it? To extend the metaphor way beyond in the area where it worked quite well, actually. Within seconds, we can call up virtually any song recorded in the history of the human race. Why wouldn't you source out the best of the best of the best of the best of the best? Well, why wouldn't you indeed? Why? Why some people like trash. I mean, I don't always listen to stuff that's amazing. I sometimes like listening to Gunter, Tutti Frutti Summer Love.
Tutti Frutti Summer Love.
Or I like listening to Venga Boys, you know, that one about the bus or whatever it is, you know. Because I'm always trying to work out San Francisco and then something about disco, I don't know. And sometimes you just want to, you know, it's like the fast food of music. But the real quality stuff, you're talking about songs that resonate in a timeless way. They don't get written very often, and when they do, they last forever. So you might as well listen to them. Old music's best, because it's done by people who cared about music and song, and actually did the work. Sorry, I've just given up smoking, and I'm really irritable. This is exactly the kind of thing that I shouldn't be doing. Justin Hawkins writes again. But there's a lot of great music in the world. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, watch one of these 2 videos, and keep coming back. Love you very much. No cigarettes for me. 2 days now. Cheers.